Hey guys, it's Stephanie, and I have a book review for you today. I'm talking about The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry. Now, I will say that when I read the description for this book, I just knew immediately that I had to have it in my life, and one of those reasons is because I'm a big Christina Henry fan. So she writes these retellings of like fairy tales and classic stories, but from like a darker or a different perspective. I read Lost Boy by her, which is a Peter Pan retelling, but from the perspective of Captain Hook. And it was just like this very beautiful, humanizing story. Also, I personally didn't think I would even like that kind of story, but with her writing it, I really did. And I even read the like Alice books. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so when I read that she was writing like a coming of age, female centric horror novel with witchy elements, you bet I was going to be there and I was going to read this book. And I did. And that's what I'm here to talk about. So, this is about a 15-year-old girl named Lauren who lives in the town of Smith's Hollow. And the year before, her dad's body was found like brutally murdered. Like, brutally, like his heart was missing. And yeah, that was quite a big deal, except that it wasn't. Because in the town of Smith's Hollow, like, girls go missing all the time, like, for years. But no one seems to think anything of it. And Lauren is kind of trying to get to the bottom of that, kind of trying to figure out what happened with her dad, but she's also just got a lot going on in her life right now. Like, she's 15, she's about to go to high school. Her friend Miranda, who she's been best friends with for years, is just kind of in a different place than she is. Like, she's much more into boys and makeup and fashion, and Lauren just isn't quite there yet and kind of trying to deal with like how to move forward with this and like, is this even a relationship like worth saving? Should I just kind of go to high school and be like a new person and just try to make new friends? Her mom, as we probably can guess, is now a single mom dealing with like two kids, and that's a totally different dynamic. So that's just like her personal stuff going on. Not to mention that all of a sudden, the bodies of two teenage girls from out of town are found, you guessed it, brutally murdered in someone's yard, which is the event that sets things in motion. There's a Hispanic family that has moved in from Chicago, and the husband is a police officer, and he's the one that looks on the crime scene and kind of seems to be the only person that's like, we should like check this out and like look for clues and stuff. And no one else seems to be really bothered or motivated to solve this crime in any way. And I say they are Hispanic because they face a lot of racism and a lot of issues just moving into this town, because Smith's Hollow is a town that is hostile to outsiders, I would say. And so we are dealing with all these things. Also, Lauren and her brother get disturbing visions about stuff that is going on in the woods and possibly about the thing that is taking the girls and doing the murders. So I will say, this was, I think, very different from anything else I've read from Christina Henry, because it had more of a modern setting and not like, you know, a fairy tale like 1800s. So there's a point in the story where we kind of learn about the thing in the woods. And I think in that chapter, I really saw her like voice, especially her like, she went into fairy tale story mode, which I liked. I mean, if you were a fan of her other work, you're like, there it is. I love coming of age horror. It's always nice to see coming of age horror done with female characters. I think when people think of coming of age horror, you know, it usually is more male centric stories like Stand By Me and stuff like that. So it's always good to see just girls having these stories. And also, like, Lauren gets her period, and that's a whole thing we have to deal with, which is, you know, things that girls are going to deal with when they are coming of age. So that was really nice to see on the page. There was some social commentary, as I mentioned. Smith's Hollow, not great with people coming in from out of town, not great with outsiders or people that look foreign. There was like one specific scene at the end where the kind of like face of the baddies, like the ultimate Karen, as I will call her, just did something like she made a choice, and I was like, I see what you did there. I don't think anyone's going to know what I'm talking about unless you have read the book, but I was like, I see what you were alluding to, Christina Henry. I see you. But I really liked it. Where would this fit on the Joey Tribbiani horror scale, I'm gonna say this is fridge level. Um, there's not a lot of like subtle, creeping, like dread moments. What there is a lot of is like body horror, like gruesome imagery. Like when I say these bodies were brutalized, these bodies were brutalized. So know yourself, know what you like, what you don't like, what you can handle, what you can't handle. I will say I really liked it. Also, it read really fast, which I will say I was worried about because when I looked at this page count and it was like over 450 pages, I was a little intimidated. But I started it, and the way it's written, it bounces back through all these different perspectives, and it's these kind of short chapters. And I was actually immersed immediately right away, and I had no trouble keeping all of the characters straight, like bouncing back through different perspectives didn't phase me at all. I feel like usually in these stories, I'm like, wait, who is this person again? Is it not that person? And then I have to go back and kind of remember. I never had to do that a single time reading this. It was just a very well told story. I felt immersed immediately. I kind of like immediately had my grounding. Like I knew who everyone was. I knew what everyone was talking about right away, which I think is just great world building that I didn't even have to like think twice about anything. I'm like, oh yeah, obviously that is that person and that is that person. So that is The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.